Good evening. Welcome to the work session for City Council for June 5th, everyone. So we'll just start down the agenda. The first item is the police department body cams, in-vehicle cameras, and the TASER program.
Thank you.
Yes.
Want to talk with you all just very briefly tonight and give you an initial overview of a problem that we are having. And we are seeking a solution now to it. Tonight is to kind of introduce it to you, but we're just in the early stages, but once it starts to move, it's probably going to have to move pretty rapidly. So we wanted to get you in at the ground floor of what we're thinking and make sure you all are okay with us moving forward. Short form, about 2 years ago, as the council is aware, we purchased body cameras from a company called Digital Ally. And one of the items that at the time seemed attractive to that was the fact that Digital Ally also has our dash cam videos in all of our patrol vehicles. And so the idea that they would be seamless and work together was attractive to us. The body cams that are associated with that particular program are not good to the standpoint of last week alone, we had 5 reported incidents of them not working. When a body cam doesn't work, if you don't have them, it's one thing. But when you got a body cam on and it doesn't work, it is exposing us to a tremendous amount of liability. It's leading to concerns with the boots on the ground, all the way up to our risk management group, that these things are faulty. There are a lot of things that are would come into play when we decide if and when we want to change these over. How much, what's the contract look like? We've got 3 different areas that we're going to be looking at. When we start looking at it, we're going to be looking at the TASER program. We currently have 4 tasers, 5 tasers that are down, 9 tasers that are down.
We have 5 tasers and 4 are down.
Got it. And so what I wanted to do tonight was have the chief present to us a couple of the examples of when they've gone down, and some of you have been aware of these over the last few months, and some of the problems that it has caused that these things are not working. And we have worked with Digital Ally to get these corrected. There's going to be a liability there too as well that Mr. Zur is checking into. With that, I'd like the chief to go ahead and give a couple of examples of these things going down.
Well, two things. Mr. Fearborn said most of it already, so, and then he said brief. I have 4 pages of notes to be brief here, so. Mr. Fearborn talked a little about when we purchased the body cams and the program began was April of 21. We had over 20-year relationship with the current vendor. However, that transition to the body-worn camera new car system has been unreliable. And many issues involved either the audio, video, and storage. So when we're talking about these issues, it's audio, video, and storage issues. The storage issues are just cloud issues where we're not getting the video or audio back. All of which are concerns for increased risk for liability. During our testing phase, many of the issues that I will share with you did not come to light. There have been a few situations where we've had to explain to the community members why some or all of the video is missing. And you can imagine, this day and age, what the community member thinks that we're not being transparent. So first I'll talk about briefly, a vehicle was stopped for speed. Turned into a failed 2-year-old situation. In that particular situation, the in-car had video, but the body cam, which is the microphone box, did not capture any of the audio, so you couldn't hear the siren. And when the officer arrived, followed this individual to their residence, didn't know it was their residence at the time, then he got out of the vehicle. the officer did not have a body cam. That being said, we were very fortunate. There was a short delay for the second officer, but fortunately, the second officer got there, and when he exited his vehicle, we had both audio and video. So we were pretty fortunate there. However, there was a delay and there was no audio, so you can imagine what the person driving the car thought or was saying, that we had turned off the audio on purpose. Another situation, if you can imagine a DWI arrest where we're having the officer stand out in front of the vehicle, or the driver standing out in front of the vehicle, and there's no audio. So all you see is lips moving and video. You know, that some of that audio portion of that stop and all the processes that the officers do on a DWI car stop are very important. And when we don't have that, that caused concern for both the Missouri Department of Revenue, who does the administrative side of things, and also the criminal side as well. More recently, I had a citizen call me and want to talk about how we give up their information. They called about a situation, they want to remain anonymous. This happens all the time, just so you know. And when the officers arrived at the house of concern, they're talking, doing their business, they leave, and so what do the residents of the house of concern do? They look around the neighborhood, and just so happens that there's many people outside at that time, including the person that's complaining, so that individual believes wholeheartedly that the police told the neighbor who called the concern in. Fortunately, I talked to the individual, and I told him I would call him back. I went and I reviewed the videos. There was no video. However, we have a policy in place where if there's an issue with the camera or an issue with the body cam, they immediately notify dispatch, and that goes into CAD. So even though we didn't have either one of those things, the video or audio, I spoke with him and gave him a sequence of times of which the CAD indicated that the officer arrived on scene, where the officer immediately got out of his car, turned on his body cam, and found a malfunction and called that into CAD. And then I gave him some other times, and that seemed to appease him at the time. However, those type of things occur occasionally. Those are just the top three I can think of. There's many, many others. Some of the issues, now this is going to get to be the very boring part, and I apologize for that, but there's so many issues. Regular malfunctions on the body-worn cameras due to poor product design. Replacement with other departments' non-functioning devices, meaning that when we've had a problem in the past with a camera, and then our vendor will send us a replacement, we sync that up to the dashboard, which is part of the cloud, by the way, and we'll get automatically, it's already been used by another agency. So they're sending us refurbished cameras. We have repeated efforts for similar issues with support calls to our provider. We've been doing that since day one. There's been, issues every week, so we've had conversations with the vendor quite often. Automatic updates that have made brand new devices inoperable translates to downtime and replacement. So every time one of these cameras are inoperable, we have to take it out of service, we wait for the new one to come in. Usually, video loss due to device failure somewhere during upload. So, somewhere between our in-car and the cloud and our vendor who is responsible for that portion of the cloud, the video disappears. This is not on every one of them. This is still just an occasional event.
Is that transferred through wireless?
Yes. So, if there's not a backlog of other videos that need to be uploaded. So when there's a malfunction, sometimes there's 24 hours of video to open up. So it just kind of stacks on itself until the issue's correct. And then once it connects, then all those videos have to load up. Several occasions, missing video and audio has become a trust issue with members of the public. I mentioned that at the beginning because that is very key. Keeping videos for half the time agreed in the original contract that we made with them, we wanted 180 days. They only had us out to 90. That has since been corrected. Mr. Fearborn talked about issues. I refer to them as end users due to our folks don't like the checkout procedures. Software for in-car dash cameras are unstable. Obviously, if you're uploading new updates that go out and it blows up the camera, so to speak, something happens inside that camera box that makes it inoperable, that's a problem. As all these things are going on, the one thing to remember too is what are the officers doing now? This has happened so many times and so often that now if they're on an incident, they may be paying more attention to their body cam or making sure it's working just more than they are the call for service initially. We were sent next generation test wear replacement cameras and malfunctioning. They also malfunctioned right away. So they sent us two of these newfangled cameras that they told us that we were going to get initially. And one of them didn't work at all. We had to send it back. It malfunctioned right away. And there was some time delay to get it back as well. I'm sorry, I'm trying to make this brief. I have a lot of notes. I'm trying to jump ahead. So during this time, 2 years have gone by, we've had multiple visits, multiple meetings with the vendor. One of the things that we've actually done, there's been over 122 tickets submitted to the City of Raymore IT department in relation to the vendor products, meaning that we found some sort of issue, there was some sort of issue with that. 100 of those tickets were given to the representatives during meetings when we would meet with them. One of the very last times that we all were together, we handed over 100 of those tickets. Keep in mind that the number of the work tickets are off. Those work tickets, in the beginning, we weren't doing those. IT was not doing those, but the product was new when we first deployed it. So we're working through what we thought were just working through the issues. Some of the things now, we look back and think, well, we probably should have been doing some of those work tickets on the front end as well. So one of the final things I'll say here is of over half of the 26 cameras, over half of those 26 cameras that we got have been replaced in a 2-year period. So that's pretty significant in a two-year period. My concern is that staying with the vendor will continuously have the same issues. The equipment needs to record the audio, video, and be able to, it needs to be able to be heard. I mean, we got to be able to retrieve that back. And unfortunately, the liability is never going to go away. If we have video or no video, the liability is still there. And if you guys would like some more dates or times, I have those as well, but to speed this up a little bit, I won't make you suffer too much longer.
I got a question. Are the cameras that we use in the car, have they given us this kind of trouble?
So some of these issues are split between the body camera and the in-car, mostly the body camera. However, this is a new in-car system. We want the new in-car system at the same time. That 20-year relationship that I was talking about, that was with the old system, the old in-car system. And when we went to this new Evo system, they're all intertwined and connected, and that's where some of the issues have happened. And IT is a little bit more hip to the...
Thank you, Chief. Excellent report, and I appreciate it. And given the topic here tonight, you have all the time you need to really address and articulate the issues that your officers are experiencing, particularly when your comments are that the malfunctions is calling perception. Officers are not being transparent. And given the systems that we're talking about, and I kind of wrote down some notes as you were talking, in my opinion, personally, a poorly functioning system is more of a liability than not having a system at all. So I don't know, Mr. Freeborn, what is your ask tonight? I think you did an excellent job of articulating and outlining the poor performance of the system. For me, I think that was enough said to what's the next steps to correct this problem.
I need to be comfortable with the system that's being proposed. I have not yet had the opportunity to meet with them to make sure that we do not have a repeat of the existing system, which would be very bad. It's, I think, imperative that we move with all due speed. At the exact same time, I think it's very, very important, because of the serious matters that are involved with this, that we move forward with a fiscally prudent and achievable transition plan. And we still have not been able to reach out to the existing vendor to talk to them about how are we going to get out of the contract? Because we're going to get out of the contract. I mean, it's a for cause. What's going to be involved with all that? What's the new contract? What are the final numbers that would be associated with a new contract? And then the practicality of a transition. Will all three of these factors be able to transition smoothly and without any sort of a glitch? I mean, you can imagine it. How long does it take to put a new system in a car? Is there going to be a period? Could there even be a period where two systems are both functioning in a car? But it's not just a liability for the city, but it is a distraction for the officers. That makes it something we need to do, because we can't have our officers distracted when they're out on the street, period. So, I'm sorry. So what I'm asking for tonight is, because it's early stages of this, I'm asking for the nod from the council to move forward with the idea that there's going to be a plan, maybe as early as 2 weeks from now, in another work session where we're going to be outlining, here is what we recommend we do. But I didn't even want to get started down that road without informing the council of a problem that currently exists.
Mr. Barber?
Thank you. Yeah, I think we should. I mean, I support moving as fast as we can. But should we be pulling the officer cameras if they're going to be inconsistent, or what's your thought on that?
I don't think so, because I think that you know, all this is not constant, but there are videos. We are capturing videos. We are capturing audio, but you know, the problem is when an officer goes and check these things out, syncs them up, if it's just a regular car stop, you know, we're not really saving those. Those go to the cloud, and then if you are the individual that wants a copy, or you're going to court and you want a copy of that, and it's 2-3 weeks later, and we log in and try to find that and it doesn't exist, but you know, something is better than nothing. You know, even though that there's nothing, you know, the chance that nothing could be there, yes, but there still could be something there.
I have a couple of questions. Do we have any idea what % of the time, I know you said lots of the videos we don't even try to look at, but what % of the time are we not finding video, or we're finding bad video or bad audio for what we look at, number one? And number two, do we know other cities that are using this same system, or other people struggling with it too, or is there some weird thing where it's just us?
So I'll answer the second question first. I don't know of any other city that in the metro area that is using Digital Ally, except for at the Metro Chiefs meeting a couple weeks back. One chief stood up and said that they were just now getting into using Digital Ally, and that was the first I've heard of it. And for us, having that 20-year relationship prior to was a big selling point for us. And then the percentages, I don't know the percentage. I know that this weekend we didn't have any help tickets, which was a plus. I talked to IT about that. They usually get about 2 a week. Some weeks they're a little bit more. And then every blue moon, there is a week where they don't have any. And I think we just had the blue moon.
IT reported to me that this is the #1 ticket item that we've ever had since we established the ticket system.
Mr. Inger, did you have a question?
Well, just one more point that Mr. Fearborn made is that the public's expectation of the police department using that equipment is that it does work, and it's there to protect their benefits as well as the law enforcement benefits too. And if the public doesn't have that trust, then it really creates a problem that, and I don't know how you overcome something like that. I mean, it's, too many other people have said, well, you know, it's some bad equipment, we don't know why we don't have the video, we don't have the video. And that's not acceptable.
Well, how we overcome some of that is I would imagine there's still a little doubt in some circumstances, but we meet with those individuals, we invite them in, we sit down, we discuss, we show them everything that we have and what we don't have, and we're open and upfront and honest with them.
Any other questions?
Is the council okay with me proceeding? Thank you all very much. Thank you, Chief.
All right. Next up, council packet agenda and meeting management system. I
Very
see.
exciting. Hang on just a second.
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay, we're all set. Mr. Murdoch.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. Tonight, we are going to, Ms. Hill and I are going to kind of tag team a presentation on a possible move into paperless city council packets for numerous reasons that we're going to kind of highlight tonight. The first thing I want to tell you is as we go through this, is we did demo multiple products as a result of this kind of investigation among staff of what would be best for our organization, and we've landed on Civic Plus, which you'll see tonight. I do want to give you just a couple of highlights of our current process of how we put together packets across the organization. It does become a pretty cumbersome task. What we will end up doing is Ms. Hill actually creates all of the folders for all of the meetings for the entire year, but then staff will then upload all items. That includes your contracts, your AIM documents, your ordinances, resolutions, those kinds of things all go into a review folder that then is reviewed by staff. That includes myself, Ms. Hill, Ms. Harmer, and Mr. Gress. One of the problems we have with the current system, and problem isn't necessarily the right word, just labor intensive for this, is we end up, because we have all these different areas that are coming into one central hub, we end up having to upload documents to make edits. Then we have to download the documents again, staff reviews, changes are made, more uploading, downloading, before it finally goes into a folder that Mr. Fearborn will end up seeing as a part of the city manager review. Once Mr. Fearborn has given us the okay that the item is actually ready to go into the packet, we then actually have to move it again into the final e-packet that you all end up receiving as a part of the process. So ultimately, it passes through too many folders, quite honestly, and too many people in terms of having to upload, download, those kinds of things. So we end up with all of those different things, and then we finish with that PDF product that you all see. So the goals that we ended up having for this particular process, and the reason that we wanted to make this suggestion to council, is A, we want to streamline the process. And as you'll hear from Ms. Hill in just a little bit, we have a lot of options through Civic Plus in terms of not only streamlining the process, but customizing the process to exactly how you all would want it in terms of how you want to view the packet, but then also in the kind of on the backside of how staff can put that together for you all so that it is as easy as possible for everyone to interact with those particular things. The other thing that we really like about this is the opportunity to now have a consistent product among all of our boards and commissions, councils, planning and zoning, park board, all of those organizations will be all housed now under one media center here that will be able to access all of those meetings together. One thing that we haven't put up here, but I do want to make sure you all would also have unique logins to be able to access things that are customizable to just you as a council member. So that would also be good. You'll see from a cost perspective later on in this presentation, but it will be a much more efficient use of time in terms of the way that we're able to go about building these particular packets, agendas, and then actually putting them together for you. Like we said, it is paperless. We're currently in, as you all know, a little bit of a issue. So the less waste that we have, the better off we're going to be in this particular case. And so we can go paperless. Though I do want people to understand, in council and any other organization, if we need a paper packet, that is certainly something we can still produce if necessary. It doesn't eliminate that possibility. And then the other thing that it will provide is an interactive agenda, not only for you all to take notes as things are going, but also for the public. As meetings are going, that agenda will continue to update as votes happen, as we move through the agenda. So anybody who is watching or is accessing that document during the meeting, it will continually be refreshing and uploading as we go from one item to the next, and Ms. Hill can actually input the votes as we go through each individual meeting. She's going to share with you the actual product, what it looks like, some of the good features of it, and then I'll come back to you all and discuss kind of the costs and kind of our final recommendation as staff.
Thank you. So the product we have found is Select. It's an agenda and meeting management product developed by Civic Plus. Select provides a cloud-based platform that will streamline the entire agenda management process, from creating agendas, publishing agendas and packets, to managing live meetings. The software includes a customizable multi-step approval process, reducing the continuous uploading and downloading of the individual files. We would have the ability to support the meetings of all of our boards and commissions through this software, not only City Council, allowing for the consistent product across the organization. The software does support an unlimited number of users and an unlimited amount of storage space for agendas and packets on their portal. Select includes an internet-based portal for board members that is optimized for all devices, including desktops, computers, laptops, and tablets. This portal allows users to access the packets published to them and allows them to take notes directly onto the electronic packets. Users can also search across all of the content that is published to them. The setup of the software includes a board portal Zoom training for council, board members, and commissioners that we would be able to record to replay for anyone at any time. We do have a demo of the board portal.
Hello all, today I am going to show you the board portal that is a part of our agenda and meeting management solution. So the board portal is going to be a view for board members, council members, commissioners, and they will be able to access whatever you publish out to them. So with that, here you're going to see that I would be able to go into a specific meeting that I'm looking for. And once I go into that meeting, I am able to see whatever meeting materials you published out. So in this case, I can view both the agenda and the packet. So if I pull up this packet, I'm able to print this. I'm also able to download. And you can see here that I've already made some notes. So I've made some highlights. I've made a little text box here with some notations. And then what I did was I just saved that, and the next time I pulled this up, they've automatically shown up for me. Here you can also search by keywords. So you can search maybe the word October, and it would pull up any verbiage that had the word October in it. And then as far as annotations, you can add to this as need be. So if you wanted to make some more highlights, you could do so. Now, if I exit out, I'm able to see all of my sections and all of my items, so more of a bookmarked point of view. If I jump into any of these items, I'm able to see notes that I've previously taken. I'm also able to see any attachments that I've pulled that are related to this specific item. So I can go back here, jump into another item. Again, same idea. Now let's say I'm looking for a specific item and I wasn't sure what meeting it had occurred on. I can use our search features within this portal to enter a keyword. So maybe I know it's a zoning ordinance. I'm going to search zoning ordinance here, and you'll see that I have 4 results. Here, there's 2 items that have to do with a zoning ordinance, and I'll be able to see what meetings those are tied to. So if I wanted to go ahead, jump back into that November 15th meeting, and again, it'll take me to the screen where I'm able to pull up any attachments related to this specific ordinance and any notes I've previously taken. Now this is at the agenda level. I'm also able to see any minutes that you have published out to me. So if I pull up the minutes, let's say we jump into the November 15th meeting, I can go into section by section or item by item and see the motions and votes that are tied to that, as well as any comments and discussions. Now, if I go back here, we also have the ability to view notes. So if I hit notes, let's say I want to see the notes that I had taken on this November 15th meeting, I can click into that. And you'll see here, I have 2 instances of notes taken. If I jump in to one specifically, it takes me back to that view we seen earlier where I'm able to pull up any of the attachments as well as the notes that I've made. And then last but not least here is the media option. So if you guys have our live streaming services, CP Media, you would have the ability to access those on demand here. So your board members would be able to come here, say I want to watch the November 15th meeting. And then here are those bookmarks that are done, again, within our live streaming services. So you'd be able to say, okay, I only want to watch the approval of the October meeting minutes. If I click into this specific item, it would take me to that part of the video. So that is the conclusion of our board portal. Thank you guys for watching.
The media section is not included in the product we are looking at. I do have a portal from Marshall, Texas that uses this option. It does show us on the public-facing side the calendar where you can scroll through. The highlighted dates do have meetings on them, and then they have a scrolling calendar that'll show upcoming and past meetings. If you select a meeting, it's going to open up your agenda or your agenda packet where you can access the bookmarks. We do have the interactive HTML agenda, which will show any attachments that have been submitted for the packet, and motions and votes as they happen can be populated directly to the agenda as well in real time. We do have a video for the resident portal that will show how they will be able to use this tool.
Our enhanced public portal is designed to serve your community with a modern, cutting-edge design while providing convenient access to documentation. The portal is equipped with custom branding such as color, logo, text, and link options. It is mobile responsive and highly compatible per accessibility standards. You, your staff, and your residents can easily find past, current, and upcoming meetings through our event calendar, a continuous scroll, or through powerful search and filtering options. With our search feature, you'll never struggle to find a file. It returns all results in one list, broken out by category name, date, file, names, and download options. Your residents will easily find everything they need for each meeting. They can watch live or on-demand videos and can continue watching the video as they scroll through other items in the portal. Residents can easily navigate to, view, and download all attachments for each meeting, and view the specific motions and votes made on those items. Experience increased engagement with optional feedback commenting forms as well as external sharing options.
Back to you, Mr. Murdoch.
Thank you, Ms. Hill. Appreciate that. A couple of things here, just to know, even as we go over the costs. The first thing is that in talking with Ms. Harmer in terms of communications and how we would link this to our website, we would have that embedded not only on our main website, but then also with each one of our boards and commissions. So from the council page, you could also link to this particular platform. So we would have it in multiple areas to make sure that people would be able to find it and that it would be easily accessible. A cost perspective here, just to give you kind of a basic rundown of why or how these costs end up shaking out. For the council packets, and this is based on your average packet, okay, so in that 250 to 300 page range, and then having each one of our council meetings and our planning and zoning commission packets, we're spending nearly $10,000 a year to produce those particular packets, and then not only have, and then obviously have them delivered to you. So about $10,000. The Civic Plus cost, what we would end up seeing is $8,600 for this first year of service, and that includes the implementation, which there is obviously software implementation that would need to be established with this particular program. That's why it's more expensive in year one. In year two, we would have about a $5,000 cost, and currently, when we were talking with Civic Plus, they would estimate about a 5% increase in terms of the escalation costs that they would see each year for this particular platform, which is very consistent in the industry, even when we were demoing other products. So about $5,000 here in year two, and then the 5% increase. When we were going through the demo, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
The 5%, is that on the 5,000?
On the 5,000, yeah, on the 5,000. So year three, we would be sitting at 5,500. Yeah. When we were going through the demo, we talked about how long it would take, obviously, to essentially train up to be ready to go live, and that's about a 12 to 14 week process. A lot of that is obviously from software implementation, but then a lot of it also is to make sure that the design is correct, because this is customizable. So when you see an agenda that is getting produced for you all, not only from a work session or council meeting, Civic Plus is going to work on that to mirror that as closely as possible on the online format. So it would still look very, very similar to what you see now. So while we have the demo up there for you there, our agenda wouldn't necessarily have to look exactly like that. We would be able to customize it to make it look similar to what you were used to seeing. So 12 to 14 weeks. So we're looking at somewhere around Labor Day if the council would like to pursue this particular option, somewhere around Labor Day, probably for our first live look at or live use of this particular product. As you know, we're talking about going paperless here, and so we would be providing, or would be able to provide, let me rephrase, tablets if you would like. Many of you, this is accessible on any device. So if you wanted to access it from your home computer, no problem, because it's cloud-based. You would have your own username and login. You'd be able to do that. If you have your own tablet, your own device, phone, all that kind of stuff, you would be able to access this. We could provide Android or iPad tablets if necessary.
Yeah, thank you. Question on that. So would we log in at the Dias when we could do our notes at home or whatever, and then we log in here, so we wouldn't have to bring our device to the meetings?
That's correct. Your notes will show up as if you save something at home and you come to just your monitor here and log in, your notes will be there for you.
And the monitor won't shut down like it does now during the meeting?
No, it will not, and Mr. Mayberry has assured me of that.
And the second question is the 5% a year. I assume that would include all software updates and all tech support and all that. Is that?
It does.
Okay.
It does. Yes, sir.
All right.
Mr. Fairborn?
And then for work sessions, we would be using the exact same item. And so tablets would be down at this table for everybody for work sessions. Unless you had checked one out and then you could just bring it with you.
Correct.
Mr. Inger, do you have a question?
Yeah, thank you very much. Is there reporting that goes along with this? Do you know what I mean by that?
In terms of
Reporting? For instance, if you say how many times my login has been used to make change this document or change that document.
I don't know if there is necessarily a record of changes, if that's what you're asking. Is that what you're asking here?
Well, I'm just, I'm curious.
And feel free to jump in, Ms. Hill.
It does a complete record of the changes made to agenda items as they're submitted, as far as users logging in and seeing like who logs in how many times. I am not sure of that. We would have to ask the
Okay.
vendor.
It does track all of our staff changes to items throughout, so we will always know who's had an eye on a particular agenda item and any changes that are made.
It's just me and my investigative background. You can go to the library and you can get on a computer there, and if you can access this from there, and it doesn't require, there's no metadata or anything to go along with that, I can mess up your program pretty well, and you're never going to know who did it.
So this, you're talking about then the actual security of the software, which is built in through Civic Plus, but not, and also when we're building the packet, we would have the security items that come along with our firewalls here within City Hall. So like from a cloud-based access, you would essentially only be getting a viewable document, or that when you log in, you can edit and put notes on it, but you would not be able to change any agenda items or anything like that as a part of your login.
Okay. Thank you.
So we talked about that there would be the tablets that we would have for work sessions, that kind of thing, if you would like to pursue this particular thing. And we just wanted to kind of rehash the goals here of this. So that's the exact same slide, essentially, that you saw earlier here. In terms of why we're trying to get to this particular thing. Ms. Hill would be the first to tell you that this would slash development time significantly. Those of us who are on the packet review team, we would love this product, just to be perfectly honest with you, because it is a very cumbersome process that we go through right now. That being said, the end product is for you all. So if the packet and the paper packet is what the council wants and would like to continue with, that's absolutely what we will do. But we do think that this provides some extra alternatives in terms of being a little bit more efficient and interactive for everyone involved. We'd be happy to answer questions, though, obviously, related to it.
Mr. Burke?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I was thinking that, and in addition to this, another benefit is that you're taking staff away from clerical work, which is kind of low level thinking, and it'll freeze up their time to do higher level thinking, be more creative, and come up with actual solutions, as opposed to just doing data entry, which is super easy but doesn't really get you new things for our city.
We would definitely say we are busy enough to accomplish other tasks.
In fact, to that end, council member, when we were talking about the costs that are associated with this, I think we actually underestimate with that nearly 10,000, because we put in there the cost and the opportunity cost, and you're always supposed to add to that what you could be doing at the higher level. We did not. It was just pure cost, opportunity cost.
Mr. Townsend?
Thank you, Ms. Mayor Pro Tem, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. Excellent report, thank you. And to my earlier question before about this particular topic, didn't realize it's the exact same system that KCATA uses for its board agendas and all of its subcommittees. So if anyone wants to play with this, just to kind of get a feel for it, you can actually do it today with a resident view, obviously, of the agenda packets, and kind of see how it functions. But it does lends itself in a more intuitive and reduced time for staff and printing of documents. It's very user-friendly in that regard. And I definitely took notes, because I've had some questions for our executive secretary and board secretary, because there's the agenda, the item you spoke to about the real-time voting. we don't do that. That sounds pretty interesting. I don't know why we don't have that. And then what I learned is we have some concerns on executive session packets because they can be very large and we don't have time during the actual session. And I guess there's a functionality of this that you can, with user IDs and such, you can move things in that space to allow that confidentiality and restrictions, but still have the ability for us as council and commissioners to do the read ahead to be better prepared so that our time in those sessions are more useful in that regard and more but I like it. I've used it for a while now, and I think if we are looking to go this route, I think it would be very beneficial.
Very good. Any other questions, Mr. Barber?
Thank you. I'm not real keen on having to use a computer or depend on a computer, but I understand the benefit of this, and I certainly would support this. I see the value. We have to be careful with our taxpayer dollars, but it looks like, there's a tremendous cost just to do a paper product. And I think too, we're having to do more with less with staff, and this is kind of in that same theme, frees our staff up, like Councilman Burke said, for other things. So again, I like the paper, but I understand, and I will not stand in your way, so I would support it.
Any other questions or comments?
I did have one quick question to Mr. Barber's point. I do some agenda items I like to archive from a personal file. I still would have that ability if there's a particular agenda item that would like to be printed. I could just request that ahead of time.
That's correct.
Have that
yes.
separated out to be printed, not the entirety. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
I just, my one point out, I'm like you, I like paper. I do a lot of notes on paper. I feel that maybe printing the agenda for the council, so at least we have something in front of us that we can spend time jotting notes on. I feel like if we're on a computer at the dais, moving a mouse around, trying to type notes in during the meeting, that may take away a little bit of the decorum of the meeting, of not paying attention to the people that are in front of us. So I like the idea. The cost savings is definitely what we need, but potentially maybe having a small part of the agenda or something where we can do a handwritten note, maybe upload those notes later in our own time at home or something might be a better kind of compromise between old school and new school.
I kind of wondered about that. I know, Mr. Townsend, I've seen you with kind of a pen writing on your tablet. I mean, could we get the Apple Pencil and be able to handwrite notes onto the tablet?
We have talked with IT about what the tablet possibilities are, and just to be honest, we were waiting for feedback from council on where you would like to head with this particular option or solution before investigating the tablets and then the pencils that are associated with them, but that would definitely be an option.
I appreciate it coming. I appreciate Commissioner, see, I got the wrong hat on. Council members' comments as well regarding the digital and the hard copy, because I do print just the agenda for notes, but then I also have the packet on my tablet, and that's almost like a Android / Apple, because I use the Microsoft Surface, which gives the ability, and I think Apple does the same. You could take notes, so I'll PDF the agenda and take notes digitally on the agenda, and I'll still have the actual full agenda packet in the dais, and I have it downloaded here in case the screen goes dark. But I also have a printed copy, but because it's provided in that regard. So it's a personal preference what you're comfortable with. I do still kind of do both the analog and the digital, just in case the battery dies, I forget to charge it. But it's your preference. If you have an Apple that you can digitally write on, you can do that, or the Surface, however you like to take it. But the web-based gives you the ability to bring up things, save it off and archive it digitally, and if you wanted to print a copy. But it's a preference, what works best for you.
Very good. Anything else?
I do want to add one last thing here, because we did talk to Mr. Mayberry on the off chance that a system internet went down kind of thing and the cloud was not available, that this will have an offline PDF already ready like you normally would see. So we could literally call up your computers offline and it will be there for each meeting, the entire packet if necessary. So your notes may not be available, obviously, if you had saved them in the cloud and that kind of thing, but the packet itself will always be there for you.
But Mr. Mayberry has been told that the cloud will never go down.
That is true. He was told exactly
No
that.
uncertain terms.
Well, and the other thing, if you have it on a tablet, potentially, and have your phone, you can connect with your hotspot on your phone, and you would still have your notes on your tablet in the electronic version.
As the council is aware, and I
Okay,
know,
maybe not.
I know the council is very well aware of this. This side of the staff table, there are no computers at, and there's a reason for that, because I have a worn and battered notebook that I keep the entire agenda on. They knew that it was going to be a very difficult sell for me when they brought this to me to get it to this point. I've been impressed with the product. I, like you, council member, will probably still have a cheat sheet that will be in front of me, which is the short form, maybe just the agenda itself, that I'll always be printing for myself, because all of this, as Mr. Murdoch indicated, is in PDF. And so if you're at home and there's a particular ordinance that you feel like you got to have your hands on, you can print those. Or we can have an ordinance printed for you, or the agenda in front of you. Whatever we end up settling on, I think this has the flexibility to give us all of that. I'll be bringing my iPad with my pencil into the meetings from now on, but I'll probably still have my trusty printed agenda right next to it for that reason. Did want to indicate two things very quickly. Because it is a unique login to each of you, both that broad notes section that you saw and anything that you would annotate onto the agenda, those are private to you and you alone. So if you're writing on the agenda where you saw them highlight in yellow, nobody else sees that but you. Those are yours and unique to you. And as you saw when Ms. Hill brought up the agenda from the city in Texas, they do what appears to me to be a very good job of making it look exactly like what you are currently seeing. So there may be some minor changes in that, but sure seems like they're doing a pretty good job of making it customizable to us. That would conclude the staff report on this item, Madam Mayor Pro Tem.
Very good. Any other comments? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. I would concur with most of what I've heard. Like you, been here a while. I like the paper, pen, same thing. However, this makes sense, and I believe this is inevitable. It's going to happen at some point. The other thing I would recommend, we really didn't talk about, you can obviously print, do that. Perhaps a transition period from the time we start this. We still get the paper packet for a while till we get a little more comfortable with the rudder and can steer the ship.
We have talked about that within the review
Phase that
committee.
out slowly, yeah.
We have talked about it.
Thank
Every
you.
week minus 10 printed pages.
Wait a minute.
Go to your online packet on the last page.
That last page,
Right.
now you're on.
Very good. Anything else? All right, moving on to, or do you need any further direction from us?
I believe that the council's with proceeding. Very good.
All right, item C, city council paychecks.
With our new council members, we accidentally sent them an electronic, all things electronic tonight. We accidentally sent them an electronic pay stub, which we insist on having for all of our employees. It's what they get. And they seem to like it. We had never offered that to the council, but tonight I'm going to ask Ms. Williams to kind of outline what the staff sees and give you all some options here. Ms. Williams. Almost did.
And I promise we're printing the budget this year, right? They will all be printed. We began using Tyler output processor, which is called TOPS. Several years ago, I looked back, I think it was 2016, but we started using it for utility billing and payroll. It's a module for the Encode system, which is owned by Tyler. That's where the Tyler part of the word comes from. It allows us to electronically send our check stubs to our employees and also electronic utility bills for our residents. Many of you, actually, I kind of looked up, many of you do receive your utility bills that way. You get an email from top@raymore.com. The payroll data that's sent to you, it's protected with a passcode that's equal to the last 4 digits of your social security number. You receive an email with an attachment. It won't open without that passcode at all. We did not originally set the council members up with TOPS due to the way that we process payroll for council. Council, as you know, is paid on the second Friday of every month. We process your payroll when we process all of our regular employee payroll. So it kind of depends on when our regular payroll falls when we process the council payroll. So there's sometimes that stub would be sent out to you 10 days prior to you actually getting paid, because as soon as we complete the payroll process, it immediately sends. Like, every employee knows as soon as we've processed payroll, because tomorrow morning they'll get an email at about 8:30 a.m. letting them know it has their check stub on it for Thursday's payroll. So to avoid confusion, we shut that feature off for council and did not send them out until 2 new council members came on board recently. But if you would like to begin having your check stub electronically sent to you, you can email me and I will be glad to get that set up. You can choose which email that you would prefer. You can have it sent to you. I have mine sent to my personal email. If you're ever out somewhere buying something or need your check stubs quickly, they're right at your fingertips if you have your cell phone or tablet or whatever. If you don't want to make any changes at all, you don't have to. If you want to have a printed copy still sent to you and it electronically, we can do that too. Just when you email me saying that you would like to move to electronic, let me know that you want both or how you want that. We actually are processing council payroll tomorrow and our employee payroll, because you guys are paid Friday. So if you really wanted it right away, if you email me by 9 a.m. tomorrow, I can definitely turn it on for you. So that concludes my staff report.
So as Ms. Williams had indicated, if you could just email her and let her know if you would like it electronic, the way you're currently getting it, or both, we'll get you all set up with whatever you would prefer. Obviously, being an employee, I get it via the TOPS, and one of the things I really like about it is I have a folder for those, and I just move those emails over into the folder, and I've got them forever. That concludes staff report on this item.
Mr. Barber?
Thank you. Thank you. Can you have it sent to your Raymore email, or is it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments? All right, very good. Sounds like it would save some money, postage. You know, I know mine comes in the mail. I'd be happy to save the postage. Yeah. All right. How do you like it, Tom? Very good. Right, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, do you want to just make a list? I'm in.
Just email.
Yeah, my Raymore email, please.
I want to be on the Raymore list too.
I've been watching the clock, council member, so I knew you were still here.
Comments from this end?
Just leave mine.
Yours is electronic already, right? I believe. Okay.
So it sounds like everybody's electronic and everybody is raymore.com with the exception of Councilmember Holman.
And no paper?
Mine is paper, I like.
Oh, yours is paper, okay.
Well, both. I'm on.
You're on both, okay, perfect.
Okay. All right. Very good. Item D is other. Do we have any other this evening? Yes, sir.
Just a comment. I got my Raymore review the other day, and it was its usual wonderful self. Really well done. But there was something in there that was awe-inspiring, and I don't know who was the brainchild behind that. But the full one-page ad about the landfill and we're not done, the black color, that was brilliant, that was awe-inspiring, and somebody should get an award for that, because that sends a message to our citizens that I know were a little bit dejected after what came out of the legislature. That was a great message, and somebody needs a job well done for that one, sir. Very well done.
I will pass that along, sir.
Very good. Mr. Barber?
Thank you. I might add the write-up on recycling and how trash is taken care of in Raymore. I thought that was perfect timing for that. And as a new recycler, I didn't trust where recycling was going, so that's why I never did it. But I got educated from Mr. Constable on what to put in there and what not to put in there, and what's real and what's not real. And I'm happy to say it was filled to the brim this last week, so thank you.
Fantastic. I haven't had a chance to look at that yet. I'm missing out, apparently.
I would concur on both comments. I received mine in the mail today and saw both articles in there. It's outstanding. And I also have the cheat sheet / chart on the side of our refrigerator of what's recyclable and what's not. And so the family now has been educated on looking at that, saying, okay, yes, it is, or no, it's not. So it definitely works. So.
Fantastic. Anything else? All right. Any reason for executive session tonight? All right. Then, thanks, everybody. We'll adjourn the meeting.